Hello everybody and welcome back to Joe's Math Tools. In our session today, we're going to be calculating angles on a straight line involving terms. And if you want to see how this is done, stay tuned. In our first example, we're going to be calculating our angles on a straight line when we're given terms within our diagram. So we're going to begin by first writing out our expression, which shows that our angles that are given to us in our diagram all equal to 180 degrees. So remember that your 35 degrees plus your 43 degrees plus 27 degrees plus our 3z should all sum to 180 degrees. Remembering that your angles on a straight line get their name from straight line angles which equal to 180 degrees. And our first step is going to be to sum up all of the numbers that were given to us, which means we're going to be adding 35 plus 43 plus 27 degrees. So our 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. We're going to put our 5, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. And 8 plus 2 is 10. So we found that our angles sum to 105 degrees. So we now have our 3z remaining plus our 105 degrees, which should equal to 180 degrees. So I'm now going to perform a second step, and I'm going to now subtract my 105 degrees from my 180 degrees. Now our 105 degrees is the sum of the numbers that we just added, and since we know the total for these angles, we're going to remove that total from our 180 so that we're only working with whatever angles or whatever measurement is remaining. So 0 can subtract 5, we're going to borrow from our 8, making it 7. 10 subtract 5 will leave us with 5. 7 subtract 0 is 7, and 1 subtract 1 will give us 0. So we now have 3z equal to our 75 degrees. And at this step, we're going into our two-step equation rules where we're going to be dividing both sides of our equation by 3. And this is to help us eliminate or remove the 3 from beside the z so that we can just get a measurement for what z is by itself. Our 3 will divide into itself once, leaving us with just z. And when 75 is divided by 3, I'm going to again set up my long division just in case I have some persons following along who may not be as good with division as others. So we'll go through our steps just so that everybody will be on the same page. So my 3 goes into my 7 twice. 2 times 3 will give us 6. 7 subtract 6 leaves us with 1. We're going to bring down our 5, changing 1 into 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. And 15 subtract 15 will leave us with 0. So we found that our z is equal to 25 degrees. Now once we've gotten the calculations or the measurement for our angle z, this doesn't mean that we are completed. We now need to go back and now double check just to make sure that our angles do indeed add up to 180 degrees. So here z is equal to 25 degrees, and in our earlier step we saw that where we calculated 3 times z, which is here, I'll circle the step, we found that 3z is equal to 75 degrees. So we're just going to double check by substituting my z with its measurement of 25 degrees to see if it does work out to 75 degrees. And we know that when 3 is multiplied to 25, it will equal to 75 degrees. So I'm now going to do my final check, And if you watch my previous videos on angles, you know that I always recommend you doing your final check just to make sure that all of the angles that you got do indeed add up to 180 degrees. So 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 3 is 13, and 13 plus 7 is 20. I'm going to put our 0, carry the 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 7 will give us 12. 12 plus 4 is 16, and 16 plus 2 is 18. So we found that when we replace our 3z with 75 degrees, that all of our angles do sum to 180 degrees. So this tells us that the answer we got for z, which is 25 degrees, is indeed correct. Let's try another example. Feel free at this point to pause the video, calculate 5p for yourself, and then when you're ready, you can unpause the video, follow along with my working to see if you got the exact same answer that I did. Okay, so let's begin by writing out our equation first. So our 24 degrees plus 65 degrees plus 36 degrees plus 5p should all equal to 180 degrees. Now we're going to sum up the angles that we were given. So we'll be adding our 24 plus 65 plus 36 to get a sum on the angles that we were given. So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 6 will give us 15. Carry our 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 6 will give us 9. And 9 plus 3 is 12. So our angles all sum to 125 degrees. And we're going to bring down our 5p, which is remaining. And these two summed together should equal to 180 degrees. Now I'm going to be subtracting my 125 degrees from my 180 degrees to find out the remaining angle that is left over after the angles that I was given is removed from my 180 degrees. So I'm going to be borrowing from my 8 to make it 7. 10 subtract 5 will leave us with 5. 7 subtract 2 is 5. And 1 subtract 1 is 0. We now have 5p equal to 55 degrees. And now we're going to move into our two-step equation step, or our one-step multiplication step, where we're dividing both sides of our equation by 5. And also, if you're not familiar with solving one-step equation, I will also post the link in the description box on how to solve these one-step equations, so that as we go through solving our algebraic expressions and even equations with angles, if you're not familiar with those steps, it'll help you so that you will be able to at least follow our process a lot easier. So I'll make sure that I post that link also for you in the description box below. Okay, so now we're going to be dividing both sides of our equation by 5. 5 divided by 5 is going to cancel, leaving us with 1. 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. We're going to bring down our p. And 55 and 5 I will also divide by 5. So 5 divides into itself once. 5 divides into 55 11 times. So we found that p is equal to 11 degrees. And again, I'm going to check to make sure that when I substitute my p in the place, my 11 degrees in place of my p, that it does work out my 5p to 55 degrees. And I found that when 5 is multiplied to 11, I do get 55 degrees. So that tells me that that is a confirmation that my p is correct. But our final step is still important. We're going to be summing all of these angles up again, using, instead of my 5p, my 55 degrees, just to double check and make sure that everything does add up to 180 degrees. So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15, and 15 plus 5 will give us 20. Put my 0, carry the 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13, and 13 plus 5 is 18. So all of our angles sums to 180 degrees, which also gives me another confirmation that my P equal to 11 degrees is the correct answer. Okay, so there you have it. It's just that easy to calculate your terms when you're given angles on a straight line. Just remember that your equation always sums to 180 degrees, and all you have to do is sum up all of the angles that you were given, subtract their total from 180, and then perform your one-step equation rules by dividing your constant, or your coefficient rather, into both sides of the equation until you get a measurement for your unknown variable. And remember that you always go back and check just to make sure that your equation does make sense, meaning that everything still adds up to 180 degrees. Okay, so make sure that you practice by clicking the link in the description box, and I will see you in the next one. So until next time, this is Jules Math Tools, where math is made easy.